Once upon a time, in television land, there lived a beautiful young princess who went out into her kingdom in an ingenious disguise.
Associate producer.
Wherever she went, she cast her magic spell on people.
You got spunk. I hate spunk.
The beautiful princess auditioned a court jester.
You haven't met me. I'm Ted Baxter, the anchor man. Take that makeup bib off.
Last night he wore it halfway through the show.
And she was befriended by a fairy godmother.
I want to see you married, Mary.
Phyllis, say it. You're hurting my hand.
And she was attended by a lady-in-waiting.
Do you always look this good when you wake up in the morning? I look like Ed Sullivan.
Let the beautiful princess work her wonderful magic for you on The Mary Tyler Moore Show.
This world is awfully big. Girl, this time you're all alone. But it's time you started living. It's time you let someone else do some giving. Love is all around, no need to waste it. You can have it down, why don't you take it? You might just make it after all.
Sitcom, all ye faithful, a Christmas podcast special where I discuss 25 Christmas sitcom episodes. Please come and listen every day until Christmas. I'm sure we'll feature Fonzie, the Bradys, and Steve Urkel, Dunder Mifflin, Mayberry, and definitely Alf. We'll definitely talk about Alf.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Sitcom, Are Ye Faithful? Where today we are here talking about a classic episode of The Mary Tyler Moore Show from season 1, episode 14, Christmas and the Hard Luck Kid 2. And I said we. Notice I didn't say me, because tonight it's not the royal we. There actually is another person in the Geek Mentality Studios. You've heard him on Joggist. You've heard him call into Movie Month. You've heard him on Marchie McFly, and you've probably, hopefully, you've heard him in our podcast we do together, Fine Movies, Fine Spirits, which I want to plug here, but based on the numbers, I feel like I should plug this podcast on that one over there. Ladies and gentlemen, longtime friend of the show, Chris Morris. How are you, sir?
Doing well, Michael. Doing well. You make me sound like a podcast veteran there.
See, that's, I mean,
odds under the belt.
You know what makes you a podcaster? Doing podcasts. That's all it takes. You know, professionally, we're not worried about that.
Having headphones or professional equipment,
yeah,
not even required.
No, we don't. The guy with the phone that talks into his phone isn't here tonight. So
true.
We
will sorely miss him.
Yeah, he's. If I told him we were doing the, I think I've mentioned many times that I'm doing this. He has no idea I'm doing it. No idea what's going on. So I wanted to get you earlier this week. I couldn't do it for the Cheers episode, but I sent you a list of episodes, and this was the other one that you highlighted. The Mary Tyler Moore Show, a show that to me just makes me think of, I think, my parents, Nick at Night. It was never a show that I grew up watching.
Wow, I am that old. It's just always been one of my favorites, though. It was just, my parents watched it growing up. Was it early 70s? What was that, probably that?
Yeah, this is 1970, this first season.
But yeah, just so well written. I always enjoy. I noticed that James Brooks, famous for what a lot of movies, broadcast news, and a lot of movies, just did the writing on the show. Just great stuff. So I had listened to a couple of yours, Michael. I did listen to the Brady Bunch.
Did you listen to the Alf episode?
I didn't listen to the Alf episode. I wanted to ask you, just to clarify, there was no mention of any exchanging drugs for sexual favors for homeless men.
There was not
in that episode.
It was not a true life. I mean, there was there was part of it was based on true life, but not that true life, not Mr. Tanner's.
That's a relief. I may go back and listen then. I did, because that, just to me, that didn't seem very Christmas in the Christmas spirit.
Thankfully that was post Alf. That was post Norm Show. That was,
Oh, we could do a pod on the Norm Show, but yeah. So I watched this the other day and just great. It's brought me back. It was which I said on watching Cheers, obviously. Yep. But it's crazy that this was the first season too, that they had a great Christmas episode. So I looked up, because like I had mentioned for Cheers, I could not remember any, when I heard what you were doing, I couldn't remember any Christmas episodes of sitcoms. Like, besides Festivus, I'm like, nothing, I'm getting old and forgetting everything, that's part of it. But also I'm like, I just couldn't remember like the biggest Christmas episodes. So I looked up a list and they had a countdown, and number one was Mary Tyler Moore. This is after I watched it and after I told you I wanted to do it. It had this as the number one Christmas episode of all time.
Wow. I've seen a lot of lists. This has been on every single list. I don't know if I've noticed it at number one, but I'm not going to argue it. It was a great episode of a show that now, after watching it, I'm like, I'm so stupid. They're all on Hulu. I should just go back one day. They're not long episodes. Just watch one here, there until I catch up. Catch up until I catch up. Yeah.
So funny. It's great. You get the great Ted Knight, one of the all-time, speaking of all-time great sitcom characters. Ted Baxter was great.
Yeah. And sadly, I was like, oh, Ted Knight. He hung out with Monroe on Too Close for Comfort. That's what I knew him more from. Even before Caddyshack.
Oh man, yeah.
But
too soon. Gone too soon.
I feel like I know him from Caddyshack, this, Too Close for Comfort, and he did the voice on Super Friends. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Yeah, I wish we had seen him in more.
But I don't know what
I don't know much. Yeah, I don't know him in anything else either. He was just
and then of course Murray Slaughter, the great Gavin.
I don't think he was in anything else.
Yeah, right. See, that's the thing. I know him as Captain Steubing.
I assumed you would know him only as Captain Steubing.
Right.
I love Murray's, a great character. Great, kind of annoying. Oh, friends with Mary. He's great in this episode, right? He's like, kind of whiny, but he's always busted. He's got that great laugh. He's always busting Ted's balls.
And I was like, is he flirting with Mary? Do they have something? Like, I don't know if,
Yeah, it never goes there. It never, the one thing that's funny is, and for some reason I was thinking of it, watching this, excuse me, you might not see me just for a second.
That's quite all right.
But I was thinking watching this was her great relationship with Lou Grant, and they actually almost in one episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they almost became romantically involved. It was fun, and then they both laughed because they couldn't do it.
And this is 1970, so it's like a woman as a producer in a newsroom. It's got to be progressive for the time.
Yeah. No, definitely. It was seemed pretty progressive. And but what was funny? I mean, how often do you get a spinoff to this show? Was a drama. when you had Luke,
Right.
the Luke, which I never watched one episode of Luke Grant.
And yet it was
You
on
know,
for like 5 or 6
he's funny.
seasons.
He was just too funny. By the way, he's so great in Curb. His Curb character and Curb Your Enthusiasm as the old
It's
guy.
been a long time since I've seen those episodes, I think.
Yeah.
But I was looking it up and it's just like, wow, I think everybody in this episode is gone.
Really?
Some of them soon,
Yeah.
like Gavin McLeod and Ed Asner were this year, I think.
Oh, you know what? I did not even remember Gavin McLeod.
Cloris
Sorry.
Leachman.
He was recently too, right?
Yeah, she was in the last couple of years.
Wow. Yeah,
And then what's funny is
Chuckles the Clown.
See, I heard the name Chuckles. I go, that I know that because that's supposed to be a famous episode. Also, I need to watch.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
you have to watch that episode. It's the best, probably the
So,
best one.
and then the other thing, I was like, watching. I go, okay, this is the cast. All these guys and Fred, and then I look it up, and Fred is in 2 episodes, and he plays a different character years later in the different episode. So I was like, oh, he's not a regular. I thought maybe he was like a semi-regular.
That's funny. I did not know you were that unfamiliar with it. You know what I mean? Like I know you didn't watch them all, but yeah.
Like I know Betty White comes on later.
I was going to say Betty White's character is fantastic.
And she's not there till season 3 or 4 or something. Yeah.
Oh really? I didn't.
Yeah,
but
like
she's always hitting on
1973.
Lou. She's always hitting on Lou. It's.
I need to.
And
there were
just put down Murray.
And there were
it's great.
Yeah, I gotta watch. If there were 3 spinoffs, Rhoda, Phyllis, and then the Lou Grant show.
Yeah.
And did you say Ed Asner was 41 this year in that season?
Yes, I think I saw that and I was like, wow, everybody looks old.
Like it's just
like you get the Quint factor but
yes, just age differently then.
Wilford Brimley being the goat, older than me doing Cocoon, I think.
Jesus Christ, right? So Christmas and the Hard Luck Kid 2. Yep. Now, do you know why it's called 2?
I don't. I didn't even notice that.
Well, it's funny because on Hulu it doesn't say the 2, but on everywhere else it's part 2 because they did. I don't know if it was the writers. I should have read this more, but there's an episode of That Girl called Christmas and the Hard Luck Kid, and it was kind of similar where she had to work on Christmas.
Gotcha. And it's funny because it's a similar theme as the other one that we get done is Cheers. Is they were forced to work on
all these workplace, shows. That's where.
But yeah, it's great. Mary's great in it.
Oh yeah. So obviously we get the I'm trying to think. Well, I could talk about that later. The voice of the guy who called in. So episode opens. We're gonna do the old. I'm gonna steer the ship tonight. It's gonna be a little different than what we do on the podcast.
Your show.
So usually I just sit there and I try to remember everything that happened, but I took notes because of my special guest star tonight. We open with, what is only seen as not only an iconic theme song, but just the iconic her going around, throwing her hat up in the air. Yes. I noted James L. Brooks. I was like, hey, and he's been just around. I'm pretty sure he did The Simpsons too, right?
He did do The Simpsons. He produced it. He had, Matt Groening did most of the writing. I guess.
Yeah, but he was like him and Sam Simon and Matt Groening.
Yep.
So it opens up with Mary on the phone with her mom. She's all excited to be coming home for Christmas. Just kind of doing a one on the that classic. I'm on the phone doing the whole conversation, letting you know what's going on.
One-sided.
Yep. Her mom's
a master of.
Right. Another episode, which I'm probably going to get back to a different Bob Newhart later this month. Can't ignore that. So she's on the phone talking to her mom, ready to come home for Christmas, worried, about driving home late. Luke comes in, starts poking fun at her, all the Christmas stuff on her table, asks if there's the nativity scene.
I was jealous of that desk.
Right. And of course she does have the nativity.
Well.
Right. She had the nativity scene there in her drawer, and she was all excited to ask Lou for Christmas Day off. And Lou's like, Eric, come on into the office with me. He's got a little tiny little tree that he's just staring at. He's worried there's going to be needles everywhere. And he tells her, Mayor, and I like the mayor thing. That's just kind of, this shows their rapport. There we go.
Rapport.
And he's like, I have to tell you, I haven't had a Christmas day off in 7 years, I believe he said. And, it's not like other workplaces. We don't close on Christmas Day. And he goes, you know what I mean? She's like, no, I don't know what you mean. He goes, you have to work on Christmas Day. And you can see
I like that line. That cracked me up when she's like, I have to work on Christmas Day. He's like, that's another way of saying it.
Yeah. And she's upset. She's like, I better go call my mom. And she leaves. And he's like, I have a feeling I'm going to be visited by 3 ghosts tonight.
Yeah.
He's upset. We cut over to Mary's apartment. She doesn't live with Rhoda, right? Rhoda's just her neighbor.
No, she's a neighbor. Lives downstairs.
So they're decorating the apartment together. Nice apartment, nice big tree. And they're just kind of talking about what they're decorating. They're talking about, we should use our pantyhose, more room for gifts.
It's funny because they have it's more, I don't know if this is a phrase, it's like underwritten compared to, I don't watch any sitcoms now, but everything like pops. Every single line is like,
right. Like
so written, but they have just like mildly amusing, some like banter.
Exactly. Yep. Everything's, and there is a laugh track. It's these classic sitcoms, laugh track, but it doesn't feel like, it feels like real laughter, like a real studio audience,
Right.
Cloris Leachman comes in, Phyllis. She has some gifts for her kids. So there's some funny moments where we see she's got one of these like clear science meant for her husband. I assume this was.
Oh boy, yeah, somebody here that she's dating.
And I don't know the whole Phyllis story, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, she's never been a favorite of mine, but.
And I love Cloris Leachman though, but I don't know.
No, she's great. Yeah, she's great.
And she had a gift for her kids, and Rhoda's making comments about how the doll is so well dressed. She'd love to find out where she got those shoes. Mm-hmm. So there's some funny little things, and Rhoda's got a real New York. Valerie Harper is really putting on the New York accent.
Funny, I don't remember watching Rhoda at all.
Yeah, it's just
pretty big show. Also,
I know of it, right? Also Phyllis, was all excited about Christmas and asked Rhoda if she's excited about Hanukkah, and Rhoda's like, "Oh yeah, I'm excited about Hanukkah and Christmas and everything." Yeah. So Phyllis leaves, and then Mary tells Rhoda how she's going to be all alone on working, but on Christmas Eve, she at least is able to do something. So she wants to celebrate it with Rhoda. So they're like, "Oh, great!" And then they're asking about gifts. Have you got me gifts yet? And Rhoda says, "Did you get me a gift? Because I want to know. Because I want to get you something better." That's basically the whole thing. So
and then they plan on They plan on.
They plan on spending Christmas Eve together at least.
Yes. Right.
I guess it's the next morning. Now they're in Minnesota.
Yes.
Is that where they are? I didn't even catch that until the second viewing. I said, "Wait."
Oh, really?
Yeah. For some reason, I just assumed New York.
One of the big things about it. I mean, you always, because you hear the news and
we get Ted Baxter, just every word that comes out of his mouth is like smooth gold. It's wonderful. Oh, yeah. He's very upset about that they're rubbing it in. It's not very Christmas-like because they're having a Christmas party. That's not very Christmas-like. But everybody's having a Christmas party, and he mentioned Chuckles. That's where I noticed that.
Yelled at Chuckles the clown. Yeah.
And they don't have Christmas parties anymore. Do you remember why they don't?
I do. Ted told the president off, told his boss off, as they said.
The boss. Yeah.
He told. Yeah. And then Murray with a great laugh. Because he sent him a Christmas card. You didn't get one back, or?
Yep. So then we get a little cute little gift exchange with Mary and Murray. I had to say that 3 times fast. Yeah. Which that's where I thought, is there some kind of flirtation thing going on there? Ted pops back into the newsroom there and calls himself the Silver Santa with gifts for everybody.
Yes.
Of course, the gifts are a recording of him that he had the sound engineers make up.
Yeah. I forget what he was
It was
saying.
him. It was the highlights of the year. I think it was his.
Oh yeah.
Like his best news stories of the year. And I did like this joke that Lou gave. Just is a joke that people watching now wouldn't even understand. Surprised you needed an LP.
Oh yeah.
I thought, oh,
You hear like a little pause and you hear like the laugh track, but
Yep.
yes, I thought you'd appreciate that.
that's when we see Fred. This is a guy I thought, oh, he works there. Nope. This is the
Certainly
one and only
doesn't.
time we see Fred.
I was like, there are a couple of people who they show, I think, like regulars, but I don't recall Fred being one of them.
Well, good, because he's a jerk. Because he guilts Mary into also working on Christmas Eve. He's like, I feel bad. I'll be thinking about you on Christmas Day. Will you be thinking about me on Christmas Eve? She's like, yeah, I guess I will be now.
I will be now, yeah. No, she's great in this spot, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is my second Mary Tyler Moore of the month. And that's when Fred just kind of guilt her into the fact that he hasn't been with his family in years on Christmas Eve, and he'd love to spend time. And he's kind of a jerk where he goes, and you don't have anybody, you're not going anywhere. So, you have nothing to do.
Yeah. But
And-
she, in the Christmas spirit, a Christmas spirit, and that's how Mary, it always is on the show. She's just very generous and nice.
That's how it seems.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to yesterday, I was watching Married with Children. I was like, is this one of the first shows where everyone in the main cast are jerks? I love it, but it's also nice seeing, nice people.
Yes.
So we go back to Mary's apartment. She's like, at least let me go home and make some dinner. Her dinner looks to be peanut butter and jelly.
It looks like a PB&J sandwich. Yep.
And Rhoda comes in. She's like, I have this big box I need to bring in. She brings in this giant gift from Mary, a big rotisserie oven, where I guess the joke was that, all Mary knows how to do is make an egg.
Yeah, I guess, right.
Because that was the thing where it's like, you can fry your eggs, you roast your egg, you can do a rotisserie with your egg.
Yeah. I didn't even notice that, but yes, that must have been it.
And then Mary got she's like, I got it on discount at the store.
Yeah,
and Mary got Rhoda a nice shirt, and she's like, you paid full price for it though? Did you? Very nice.
Yes.
Rhoda's like, I got this big turkey. She got a big turkey for them to have together. And that's when Mary breaks the news to Rhoda. Sorry, I got, I got duped into working on Christmas Eve too. So Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Yeah, she's already working Christmas. Rhoda get kind of peeved, but then she felt bad.
And then Rhoda's like, well, Merry Christmas, I guess.
Yeah, and then you get that sad, right? You get the sad shot of Mary.
Yeah.
Mary's kitchen pulling back.
We go back to the office and we see Ted doing his Santa news story where he's talking about the sleigh and tiny reindeer. And Mary asked Murray, did you write that? He's like, no, that's the one thing Ted writes himself, and he says it every year.
It's good stuff.
And he says, what did he say? He saves copies for people wanting them. He still has all the copies.
Thousands of copies.
Yeah. And Murray is actually upset with Mary. He's upset that Fred talked her into doing that. He's trying to you shouldn't do this, but she's like, oh, it's all right. It's all right. Lou also is a little upset, but first he brings Mary into the office. This is a funny exchange. The gift card, the card and the check.
Blank check. Yeah. It's good stuff.
She's like, oh, it's she's like, this, I can't accept this. He's like, oh yeah, she's a blank check. He's like, what? And then he takes it from her. He's like, let me have that.
Yeah.
That was really good. He's looking at her. He's like, just go out. He's like, no, wait. And he writes it and seals it up. But he says, he's upset with Mary too, that he traded with Fred, and he tries. He's like, I have paperwork I can do. I can stay here and do it. You go home. And she's like, nope. I signed up to do this.
Yeah.
You can go. He's like, all right. So now Mary is all alone watching TV with nothing really going on, because I've had to do this for work where it's like nothing's going to happen, but you need to be there in case something does happen.
Yep.
So she's hanging out, and all of a sudden she gets hears a voice on a radio. I don't know if it's a ham radio or like a transmitter.
Yep.
And
out at the transmitter.
This is another a voice that's calling in for Fred. Hey, Fred, I'm looking for Fred. And Mary gets on, and he's like, oh,
a joke for him.
I got a joke for you. This is Charlie at the transmitter. You know Charlie at the transmitter? She says, oh, yes. Charlie at the transmitter. Now, I looked it up, and the voice of this guy, the guy doing this voice, he is the second Fred Flintstone. So, the original Flintstone. Then, in the 70s, there were, and all the way up until like the 2000s, there's that guy who was like, Bonnie. And he had like a little different of a Fred Flintstone voice, Fruity Pebbles commercials. Well, see, that's true.
When you said it was going to be someone big, I didn't know it was going to be someone
okay.
big.
How about I also tell you, he's also the voice of Charlie Tuna.
That's pretty good.
Okay, there you go. Tell him Charlie sent you. There you go. And he's Charlie at the transmitter. So I don't know if that was a joke.
That's funny. No, that's it. And then Mary, wanted to talk to him, and he wished her a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, he's going to be with his family, but he's funny. He goes, what did you say your name was again? Mary? Oh, I can't tell you the joke.
Yeah. So, some good 70s misogyny.
Yeah, right. So then she gets a phone call that hangs up. And believe me, if you're alone in an office and a phone call, I'd be a little freaked out too. And then all of a sudden, she hears the elevator. She takes her chair and puts it under the door to bar the door. There's an elevator. She hears the elevator, gets on the phone, for some reason calls Rhoda. Not the police, not security. There is no security.
Yeah, you figure she would have called the police, right?
Yep.
She wanted to say goodbye, though. She did say.
And thank you for the oven. Thank you for the gift. And she's like, the murderer is about to come in. I'll let you know. And you hear some the door being pushed, and then all of a sudden the door pops open. Surprise! Murray, Ted, and Lou.
Great.
All come back, and she's like, the phone rings back. Ted answers it and goes, am I the murderer? What do you mean, am I the murderer? And I actually love this part when Lou says, we're having a party. Oh, they're having a party. He says, no. We're having a Christmas party.
Yeah.
That was great.
Great Christmas message.
Yep. So she gives them all hugs, which I read somewhere that little hug exchange where she hugs Ted and the break, like smushes the hat, that becomes part of the montage in the opening in future years.
Oh, really? I mean, it was familiar. I always remember seeing it. I didn't know that was the first time that she did it, and they kept that. But it was a great scene.
So they realize they can't actually leave yet because Lou says the general manager has this habit of calling 2 minutes before midnight to make sure that the night watchman's there, the night man's there. If the night man's not there, and he points to Mary, then there's going to be a problem. So they all just kind of, hang out, do a little work while killing the last half hour. Murray and Mary start singing. Lou starts singing. Ted comes in, and then that just kind of kills the vibe. And that's the end of the episode.
I loved how they were working, kind of just like Cheers. Shows all takes place in the newsroom, so it's like they have this great Christmas moment, and they have the Christmas spirit, and they're at work still.
Yep.
At work having a ball. Show was so underrated.
It's
Mary Tyler Moore Show itself.
I feel like, I guess, like I was going to say, is it underrated? Isn't it considered one of the classics? Or maybe
it's underrated by you and
right.
I forget, but Paul had mentioned on the text chain or something, and I was like,
that's a good point, because
for MTM, I'm like, that show is just one of the best. So yeah, I honestly am just as we're talking about it, I'm like, I'm gonna go back and watch some of my favorite episodes. You have to watch the Chuckles the Clown, which is the classic, and the last episode of all time, the finale.
Oh my God, I gotta watch the whole thing. I gotta
go. I don't know. You probably heard though what happens.
I really don't know. If I did, I don't remember. So
I don't know if I shouldn't say then.
No, I want to. Yeah. Yeah. What'd you say? Yeah.
I don't want to say it, but I did. But I kind of did.
Oh, you might have. Yeah.
But yeah, excellent Christmas episode. I'm ecstatic that you invited me for this one, and Cheers.
Yeah, I mean, now I'm going to be doing a Growing Pains episode in the next few days. Any interest in that?
I mean, I did like the show, but no, probably not.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I think
Boner is available.
Right. Sadly, he's not.
Probably. Oh shit! I'm sorry.
Just the season. Oh, now my dog's doing better, but now she's scratching at the door. So, yeah, I think we nailed it.
Excellent.
I think we covered it. So, is there any place people can find you online?
Well, funny that you mentioned that. Oh, online?
Yeah.
I'm on Twitter. Find movies and find spirits. You can find us.
Yeah. Yep. So, on our podcast on Twitter is fine_movies, and on Instagram it's fine movies, fine spirits. There you go. And you have a Twitter of your own. Your Twitter of your own, but it's really just there to make fun of sports writers. So
to patronize sports writers.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. That's why.
So you know where to find me on Twitter and Instagram. It's @geekmentality. Website is fansnotexperts.com. That's where you'll find this podcast, our movie podcast, every other podcast that I do, because apparently this is all I do with my time now. So for Christopher Morris, until tomorrow, my friends, here is my theme song. This is my podcast, I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe, 'cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time, and I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode. That was the most embarrassing part to do in front of you.
Sounded like it was real anyways.
Fans not experts.